While some of your friends are posting pictures on Facebook of $7 coffees from Starbucks, $15 cocktails from Morton's, and most of these people using a credit card to even purchase items like coffee and cocktails in order to impress people they don't even know or to impress friends. Wow, people are posting pictures of the dumbest things on Facebook to impress people they don't even know. Your country is on the verge of a financial collapse. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019. Let's get right into it. This just came out. Peso plunges after reports of no tariff deal with Mexico. Major credit downgrade. So we have no deal with Mexico as of right now. They obviously could not get in line with what the United States was asking for. And so at this point, we have no deal. Now, we had some really bad news today. As the Dow Jones, again, the markets were up. Dow Jones was up again. But it's based on more bad news. So this just shows you how disconnected the stock market is from reality. America added only 27,000 jobs this May. Small companies are struggling. Brick and mortar is closing. And so this had a huge effect on the job numbers. So again, let me repeat that. 27,000 jobs created in the month of May. This is the weakest job growth since March of 2010. This is not the sign of a booming economy. This is a sign of a struggling economy. Yet, the markets were up today. Let's talk a little bit more about oil and gold. Oil is getting really clobbered. Gold up again right now. It's just been propelling up, and it continues to just continue to go up. Oil prices are in a bear market while gold continues its way up, heading in the opposite direction of oil. Now, historically, when you have oil prices coming down and you have gold prices going up, this is another major warning sign of a recession. This has only happened 3 times in our history, and every time this happened, we had a major recession. So is this going to be the 4th one? Time will tell. But again, it's another warning sign, and we're seeing signs, warning signs all over the place that are telling us that there is a recession very, very close. And I think most people watching this video can just feel it. I mean, you don't just need the signs. You can just feel that something is changing, that there is big trouble on the horizon, and something just tells you in your heart, in your gut, that you need to be getting ready because we are going to see big changes in our financial system coming. You know, the Fed is going to stimulate the market, and it is going to stimulate inflation with lowering these interest rates and bringing in quantitative easing yet again. But they're not going to be able to stimulate the economy. They're going to stimulate the markets, the stock market. They're going to stimulate inflation, but the stock market is not the economy, and they're not going to be able to stimulate the economy. They're going to destroy the economy by doing this, and they're going to destroy the US dollar and devalue it even more than it has already been devalued. What they're doing has not worked in the past. Look where we are at right now. We are in the same situation, the same boat that we were back in '08. In fact, things are worse right now. So all this helicopter money, all of this printed money, all of this 0% interest rates, low rates have done nothing but just put off the day of reckoning. And it is not going to stop it. They can continue to try and push it off, but the medicine is not having the effect that it used to. And at some point, the day of reckoning is coming to America. Reality is going to come to America because they are running out of tricks. When you go to zero, when these rates go to zero, where do you go from here? When you continue to print money like we're doing, we're going to be Zimbabwe. So they may give a quick fix of adrenaline and a euphoria into these markets. But what they're going to do to the economy is going to be devastating, and it's going to be very damaging. So it's going to be a short-term fix in the markets, and it's going to be a long-term hit into the economy. They're doing everything they can to drive this momentum train a little bit longer. If I were you, I would be jumping off this train right now, because this train is on a collision course with a giant brick wall. And when it hits, we are going to see major financial damage here in America. And regarding financial damage, if anybody needs more of a warning to what's happening right now to America, take a look at your middle class. The richest 10% represent 70% of all U.S. wealth. The middle class is being decimated. It is being erased right out of the United States. The Federal Reserve is the cause of most of this. In response to the last financial crisis, the Fed pumped huge amounts of money into the financial system, and this has created what we have now, the greatest stock market bubble in history. A lot of that money stayed at the very top, did not come down, didn't help bail people out when they were losing their houses. It stayed at the very top. The big bankers who got, the 20, 30, 40, $50 million bonuses, the banks that got bailed out, U.S. banks and foreign banks that got bailed out. Those big bankers, nobody went to jail. They got rewarded with multi-millions of dollars and trillions of dollars of bailouts. So the average Joe Blow, when he was losing his house, got no help. But the banker who made 20, 30, $40 million a year, his bank got bailed out and he got rewarded with a bonus on top of it. So we continue to see the rich getting richer and the middle class being decimated. According to the Social Security Administration, the median yearly wage in the United States is $30,533. So 50% of Americans make at least $30,533, and 50% of American workers make that much or less. Okay, so 50% of America is making less than $31,000 a year. That breaks down to $2,500 a month before taxes. There's no way you could raise a family today on $2,500 a month. So at least two people in a household must be working. When you look at $2,500 a month, take a look at real estate prices. Do you think most people could buy a house on $2,500 a month? How about rent? You're not renting anything in Southern California at $2,500 a month if that's your income, because the rent alone in Southern California for a house is around $2,500 a month, and that's a low end. People's cell phones, their data plans are $100 plus a month. You look at the rising inflation, consumer inflation that we're seeing like in the grocery store, automobile prices. Then don't forget, you got to pay Uncle Sam. He always gets his cut too. The cost of living is outpacing wages by a mile. People cannot keep up with the cost of living. They tell you there's no inflation, but look at the price of cars, look at the price of housing, rent, look at the price of a loaf of bread, a box of cereal, a pound of ground beef, a pound of chicken. Take a look at, just go and buy a pair of gym shoes at Foot Locker. What's it going to cost you? $150? They say there's no inflation. They're full of it. Consumer inflation is running about 10 to 12% a year. Is your paycheck keeping up with 10 to 12% a year? Probably not. Americans have been getting squeezed out of the middle class month after month, year after year. Here's a fact. I'm going to give everybody a fact right now. We now have a record-breaking number of millionaires here on the West Coast now in 2019. It is record-breaking. And when I visit Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, if I'm in LA and, I go through Beverly Hills, when you're in these areas, the amount of wealth, it's insane. It's uncomprehendable when you're looking at beach houses that are 15, 20, 25, 30,000 square feet, seeing these mega mansions in Beverly Hills, 40, 50, 80, 100,000 square feet. The amount of wealth that is out there is absolutely mind-blowing. But when you look out here in the West Coast, when you look at Los Angeles, you look at San Francisco, you look at the wealth in these cities, but when you look at what's in these cities, when you look at the amount of homelessness, when you look at how these cities are rotting, they're decaying, when you look at the amount of garbage, street people, needles, rats, they are beyond third world. Okay, the conditions are beyond the third world. So you'll have these people living up in the mountains and the hills in these, $50 million homes, $100 million homes. Yet look at the condition of our cities here on the West Coast and across America. I'm just using the West Coast as an example because we do now have a record-breaking amount of millionaires now out here on the West Coast while our cities and infrastructure crumble. We are at some point, I believe, just going to be a nation of peasants and serfs and aristocrats. The aristocrats will be living down at the beach in Laguna and Newport and living in Beverly Hills and Brentwood and Bel Air. Wow, we have street people everywhere, epidemics of rats and medieval plagues. People eating out of garbage cans, sleeping in cardboard boxes. This is where we are now here in America. This is the divide that we now have in America. There's nothing in the middle. We have the ultra poor and we have the ultra rich and very, very little in the middle. And what's in the middle is shrinking every month. So while the markets were up today, while the Dow Jones was up today, even though we only created 27,000 new jobs for the month of May here in the United States, in a normal market, in a realistic market with reality, we would have taken a massive hit today. But since we are so detached from reality and there is no reality in these illusions that we call markets, they go up. So 27,000 new jobs created, horrible, markets go up. Here's more news. Global semiconductor sales plunged 24% from peak. They're down everywhere across the globe because of this global slowdown. Wolfstreet.com, it's a good article. And again, another warning sign of what is really happening. What is happening in the economy, not the stock market. Here's another one. U.S. services growth, weakest since February of 2016. Market went up today, doesn't even care. Here's a really big one. We've talked about this many times. Due to cataclysmic flooding, millions of acres of U.S. farmland will not be planted with crops this year. We've had massive flooding, as most of you know, in the Midwest. Millions of acres will not be planted. Expect big price increases at your grocery store for fruits, vegetables, meat and poultry. Many animals were wiped out during these floods, and now millions of acres not being planted. What has been planted, the crops are way down from what is actually starting to break the surface and grow. The crops are way down. So even with the planting, they're not going to have the greatest results because there's just been so much destruction done to the fields, to the soil, and many millions of acres will just not be planted, period. So do you think that is going to have an effect on the economy? Stock market just continues to move forward, doesn't even care. Breitbart, border agency buying 2.2 million diapers to help these people coming over. So while the middle class is being decimated, while we only had 27,000 new jobs created, while half this country makes less than $31,000 a year, this is where your money's going, to pay for diapers for people who are coming over. Isn't that nice? I'm going to wrap this video up, but before I do, I want to go over one more article. This was on Zero Hedge today. The Fed has no choice but to return to ultra low interest rates. I'm going to paraphrase through this article for you really quickly. If interest rates hit rock bottom, people have little reason to save, and investors have little incentive to invest. Consumption increases at the expense of savings. Capital consumption sets in. Existing capital will be used up and not replaced. Once investors, this is key, once investors realize the economy is losing strength, elevated asset classes driven up by the ultra low interest rates will come crashing down. And what are those asset classes? Stocks, government bonds, corporate bonds, real estate, land, and commodities. This is the direction we're heading in, without a doubt, and we're getting very, very close to the end here. Yeah, they're gonna stall this out. Could go another year. Could go 2 more years. 2 more years maybe. It could go 2 more weeks. We don't know if a black swan event is around the corner. We don't know if a bank like Deutsche Bank blows up and sets everything off. We don't know now with all this negotiation with Russia and China, and now they're going to be manufacturing products for one another. They're trying to use a gold standard. They're using one another's currencies. The world is very, very divided. Lots of things are happening behind the scenes. Countries are looking to get out of the U.S. dollar, to get out of U.S. paper. They're looking at other options. And again, this is one of them right here, precious metals. China, stacking gold. Russia, India, countries in Europe, all your central banks are stacking precious metals. JP Morgan, biggest holder of precious metals here, biggest holder of silver. This is why I really believe that every one of you needs to be preparing, because I believe that a lot of people, believe they have something because they have a piece of paper with some zeros on it. They're going to wake up one day and all those zeros are going to be gone. They're betting, their futures on paper, on the click of a button on a keyboard. That paper can be worth 0. It's all it is. This can never be worth 0. And remember, if you don't hold this, you don't own it. Those pieces of paper that many people hold, again, you could wake up one day and it could be missing a lot of zeros. Then what do you do? What do you do? What do you turn to? You're done. You've got to be holding real tangible assets, not pieces of paper. I'm going to wrap it up right there, guys. Just something to think about. A lot happening. Futures market is down a little bit right now because of this tariff situation with Mexico. There are big things coming to America, especially financially, and every one of you needs to be preparing right now. Remember, I have a link down below, SD Bullion. If you need to acquire and purchase precious metals, I recommend SD Bullion. They've been fantastic. And I know that a lot of people out there use them and have been very happy with them. I've used them personally many times. They're great. So go to my link down below, SD Bullion, and they may be running a sale right now or a special, so check that out. They've been very, very good. I don't care where you get it from. I don't sell precious metals. I do buy and I do acquire them because I do believe in them. So continue to be preparing, and most of all, continue to be awake and aware of what's happening, because every day the situation continues to change and we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know what you're going to wake up to. So take every day that you have, continue to prepare, and God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon.